Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly Magic News Update for August 6th on the Mana Leek. I'm Jonna as always, and it's been a while. It's been a long while. We had set reviews and pre-release recaps and set recaps and GP recaps and etc. But we're back with some news. Now, a lot of news happened. We missed out on Unstable and F&M promos and all kinds of stuff that I could have ranted to no end about. But those things will come up later on, I'm certain. So let's move on with the news that happened this week. Up first is a small change that doesn't really affect many people, but Wizards of the Coast is removing the Pro Tour invites that came along with winning the Star City Game Invitational events. The SCG Invitationals are a twice-a-year tournament that you qualify for by doing well at or accruing a certain number of points at Star City tournaments, SCG Opens and qualifiers and etc. Winning the SCG Invitational nets you $20,000 and, previously, an invite to the Pro Tour. I will say I was generally impressed with how people took this news. Of course, there was the hand-wringing and how dare Wizards do this? You know, the Pro Tour stands for Promotional Tour, right? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. And rah. But that was relatively minor. Everybody involved with it was fine. SCG seems happy to have their tournament standing alone without ties to a major Wizards event. This way, you win SCG Invitational. That's the top. There's no SCG Invitational. It's just a stepping stone to the real tournament. So they kind of get some credibility. And Wizards of the Coast frees up a couple of Pro Tour invites to encourage players to play at Grand Prix on the weekend instead of SCG Opens. Ultimately, it's 2 Pro Tour invites. It's just not a big deal. And luckily the internet seemed to kind of agree, so I was happy to see that. Up next, the Commander 2017 tribes were spoiled/leaked. A Japanese magazine published an article about the upcoming Commander series, including the colors and tribes. This, of course, was an issue that used to happen when magazines were actually a little bit more prevalent, because magazines have to have their articles done, weeks and weeks and weeks before they're released, which is often before news about products come out. This sort of leakage will probably stop as magazines slowly die out. But this one was still around. Now, as we already knew, 5-color dragons is one of the tribes. We knew that due to the other leak that we had seen. And as most people assumed, vampires is another, with them being in Mardu colors. So we're going to see a bunch of white vampires. The other two, though, not goblins, not elves. We're getting white-green cats and Grixis wizards. There's not much other information here. No cards were revealed or anything, but I'm sure there's much rejoicing in an official Catmander deck being released. I'm not a huge Commander player, but I do always watch these pre-cons for fun decks and fun cards, either for cube inclusion or some very casual Commander play that I play very rarely. But for the bigger Commander fans, I know these are always an exciting release, and they're coming up pretty soon. MTG promos are an often forgotten about aspect of the program. Currently, as it's been for a very, very long time, at the end of the month, you very quietly get a promo card inserted into your account if you play a certain number of tournaments, and a different promo if you spend a certain amount of money in the MTGO store. If you cross a second threshold of playing and or spending, you get a second copy of the appropriate promo. Now, there's no pop-up. They're often at the very bottom of your collection. And so a lot of people simply have absolutely no clue that they even have them. So go check your account. You'll see these promos that have just appeared. Well, that's going to change starting August 30th. Starting then, for each rewards period, which is the last Wednesday of the month to the last Wednesday of the following month, if you play in one league, scheduled event, or 8+ player queue, which I think covers basically every pay tournament other than the 2-player queues, you'll receive a player rewards booster pack. Play in 5 of these events and you'll get 2 more. Similarly, if you spend $20 into the MTGO store, you'll get a pack, and if you spend $40, you'll get 2 more. So you can potentially get up to 6 of these packs each month. So what are they? Well, first off, they're tradable. If you can't stomach the gamble, you can sell them off to a bot. No idea what they'll be worth, and it likely won't be much, but that's an option. Inside is a promo card. So rather than receiving the promo card that has been decided on for the month, you'll receive one of a list of promos, which includes things like Servo Exhibition and Noose Constrictor and promos that we've seen at F&M and etc. It does include some very useful promos like Path to Exile, Stoneforge Mystic, and Fatal Push. And finally, they'll be adding new promos to the list, often with new art. The first of which is an absolutely gorgeous version of Quombaj Witches, which is an absolute all-star in Pauper. If you play Pauper, you want this card in your mono black control. It's a huge card over there. All in all, I think this is a really cool change. It goes into that loot crate fad that games are into right now and that I enjoy because I'm only human. Give me a random reward schedule and I will push that lever. And it also allows those who don't care for it to trade it away for a little bit of value. All in all, very happy with this change. The big news this week is that the upcoming Magic digital game has a name. It's being called Magic the Gathering Arena. Now, this isn't the MMO, this is the digital game that they announced at the same time as they announced the discontinuation of support for Magic Duels. So we can reasonably assume that it's the replacement for Magic Duels. Now, there's not much info here as it came from an investor's call, but September 7th at 1 p.m. Pacific, there will be a Twitch stream all about it and info on joining the closed beta. It's currently in internal alpha. I'm not going to get into how much it annoys me when people complain about announcements. That's how marketing works. You're talking about it, it worked, deal with it. So, with nothing more than a name to go on, the internet has run rampant with speculation. Did you know that this is a fighting game? It's a side-scrolling fighting game, probably, or maybe it's a MOBA. Anyways, I'm not a fan of baseless speculation, or the basis being we have a name. I prefer to wait and deal in facts. What I will tackle are a few of the big misconceptions or things that I think are just totally off the mark. Firstly, there was a large outcry that Hearthstone's limited format is called Arena. This is going to cause confusion, and it's going to make Magic seem like they're just desperately copying Hearthstone. This is such a simplistic, tribalistic, schoolyard Nintendo versus Sega argument. It's a generic word. It harkens back to Magic's Arena League in the early 90s, as well as the name of one of the early Magic novels. Who cares if another game uses an extremely generic word? This is just such a stupid argument. Ugh. Secondly, I'm going to repeat this forever and ever and ever until people finally listen. This is not Magic Digital Next. Why is this not Magic Digital Next? Because Magic Digital Next is not a piece of software. It's an umbrella term that describes all of the digital initiatives that Wizards is pursuing. This is included in the umbrella, as are the MMO, as are updates to MTGO, as are updates to the Wizards event locator, etc. This is not Magic Digital Next because Magic Digital Next is just an umbrella term. It is not a piece of software. It is not a replacement for MTGO. I can't describe how much it annoys me that Redditors will dig deep into investors' financial relations calls, but won't stay on top of widely available information like this. Ugh. Finally, there's basically zero chance of this replacing MTGO. Wizards has explicitly said there are no plans to replace MTGO in the foreseeable future. This is very, very likely, as I said, just the next version of Magic Duels. If you really want me to speculate, and this is not going to be baseless, this is not going to be wild, this is going to be incredibly conservative because I just want to wait and find out, I'm going to guess that Magic Duels had something keeping it from being as mainstream as they wanted. For example, it never came out on Android, which is a huge market share lost. And this will probably be an attempt to bridge that gap to get it more mainstream. What will it look like? Will it use different rules? Will it even be Magic? No clue. And I'm not going to speculate further on it. I'm going to wait patiently the 30 days and find out. With the big news out of the way, I want to leave you with a speech Rich Hagon made at the Pro Tour last weekend. For a small bit of context, in a top 8 match between Paulo Vitor Demirosa and Yamwing Chung, Chun drew a card he needed to end the game. But in his excitement, he moved to attacks, turned his Hazoret sideways, and forgot that he needed to cast that sorcery that he just drew, or else Hazoret wouldn't be able to attack. Hazoret was not able to attack. He lost that game. He lost the match that he had the win for to the eventual Pro Tour champion. According to Maria from Pro Tour coverage, Rich simply asked for the camera to go to him at the end of the match because he wanted to say something, and they did. That's how much they trust him. And this is what he said. Remember this next time you jump into Twitch chat or the YouTube comments to yell at a player.
On Pro Tour Sundays, it's all about the cards. Of course it is. Magic's the best card game in the world. Magic's the best game in the world. But Magic isn't just a card game. Magic is a people game. And sometimes the cards get in the way of the people. Sometimes the people get in the way of the cards. Sometimes people sit at home and think, I could do better than that. I could be a Pro Tour champion. Why do they get $50,000 for a turn of a card? But at days like this, you understand just what's at stake for someone who sees Almost their whole life flashed before them as they see, yes, I can beat this 12-time top 80. Yes, I can beat this Hall of Famer. Yes, I can be in the Pro Tour final. And then moments later, no, I can't. So when you watch, remember that these are people who play not just for their own love of the game, but for yours and my love of the game too. We've just witnessed something pretty extraordinary, pretty exceptional, pretty heartbreaking. And that's why, amongst many other reasons, Magic is the best game in the world.
So that's going to wrap it up for the weekly Magic News update for August 6th, 2017. These are going to become much more regular again now that we're out of set review and GP and etc. and I've got some more weekends sort of free. Unfortunately, there won't be one next weekend as I'll be on vacation, but after that they will be regular again until we're back into set review mode. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of these news items. Are you happy about the promos? Are you happy about the commander tribes that were chosen? Let me know all of that and more in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at the Mana Leek. That's Leek, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at facebook.com/themanaleek, twitch.tv/themanaleek, and patreon.com/themanaleek. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button. If you like it and you want to see more and you haven't already, click subscribe. And if you do have those questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.